Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Nesson Studios. Michaela Vernava alongside Nick Goss ahead of a Monday Night Football showdown between the New England Patriots, who are in Miami to take on their division rival Dolphins and can clinch their 9th straight AFC East title tonight. They also are on a 14-game road winning streak, which, Nick, we were just talking about before we came on. This is, first of all, the second longest road win streak in NFL history, and the last time the Patriots lost was actually in Miami in the 2015 season, which was kind of interesting since they are taking on the Dolphins tonight. But 11-point favorites, according to our guys over at OddsShark, and that is without Rob Gronkowski, which is pretty huge.
It is.
And
huge loss.
we're going to get into all of that and the implications that tonight could have on the Patriots long term for this season, because what a Sunday in the NFL yesterday. So we need to start with talking about some of what went down yesterday and its effect or potential effects on the Pats. And let's start with the Carson Wentz injury. This one, first of all, just a real shame to see another guy go down.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz playing insane this season. It just seems like the football gods don't want anyone to get out of this one this season unscathed. It's crazy.
It's cruel. I mean, Deshaun Watson already goes down. We've had Aaron Rodgers go down, and now Carson Wentz goes down. Top MVP candidate, having a brilliant season. Led them to a victory yesterday against a really good Los Angeles Rams team on the road. Philly, #1 seed in the NFC right now. But I mean, Nick Foles, I think, has his track record of playing good football, but it's going to be really tough without him.
Let's start with the MVP race. I mean, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady. I mean, Wentz was a top contender in there, and like you said, I mean, who do you think gets it now that he's out?
I think Tom Brady.
Out.
I think Tom Brady will get it now. I mean, if he goes into Miami, has a great game, and then goes into Pittsburgh next week and beats Pittsburgh, and let's say the Patriots hang 28, 35 plus points on them, I think he can really cement it now. Antonio Brown is an interesting wrinkle in this. I think he's a legitimate candidate as well. Russell Wilson did not play particularly well against the Jaguars yesterday. I think he kind of took a big step back. I think Wentz can still be an MVP candidate even though he's not going to play for the rest of the season. Tom Brady, through 12 games last year, was getting some MVP love. But Wentz has played more games this year, and he's been really good in the resurgence. So I think he's still a candidate, but Brady for me is the clear front runner, especially if these next 2 weeks he has good games.
So just looking at this NFL season as a whole, I mean, it has been just downright weird, I think. The Patriots coming into this season with such high expectations. Everyone thought potentially 18-0, definitely going to win a Super Bowl. Then they run into so many injuries. The defense was doing terrible. I came out and said early on that I didn't think that they were even going to make it to a Super Bowl, which now the defense has turned around. And I feel like when you think about, if you fast forward to the Super Bowl, it's certainly not hard to see the Patriots ending up there for Super Bowl 52. And I think one of the top NFC potential contenders that came to mind before Sunday was the Eagles. And that could have been a definite challenge. I mean,
they might still meet. I mean, their defense is pretty good. They're 24th in takeaways. The Eagles are the third most. They're one of 8 teams that's given up less than 20 points per game. They're second most rush yards per game. So they are pretty balanced, but this definitely does hurt them.
I mean, I was even thinking about it in terms of I would have a hard time seeing even a Carson Wentz be able to beat a Bill Belichick-led Tom Brady quarterback team in the Super Bowl, just given his age, lack of experience. Do you think, can you envision Nick Foles beating out Bill Belichick and Tom Brady for Tom's 6th ring?
I can't. At this point, I think Drew Brees has his best shot at that right now, as it currently stands.
That's the one that I was going to ask, so which team you think that, I mean, I'll ask that next, is which team you think it helps the most, but the first that came to mind in terms of someone being able to topple the Patriots once they make it to the Super Bowl, I think even if Wentz was still in, I would say the Saints and Drew Brees.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Brees is a Super Bowl winner, one of the best quarterbacks we've seen really ever. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, no question. If Alvin Kamara is healthy, I think they have the best shot to get to the Super Bowl. Now, it's going to be tough in their own division. You know, they got the Carolina Panthers, who won yesterday. They look pretty good. The Falcons are coming up now. They just beat the Saints on Thursday night. So it's going to be a real fight in the NFC South. But I think that if Kamara is healthy and Brees is Brees, you know, they're well coached too with Sean Payton, I think they are the biggest threat in the NFC and someone who could beat a Bill Belichick defense.
So in terms of who is the biggest beneficiary, I mean, you hate to look at it that way when it's an injury and an unfortunate injury, but which team do you think benefits most from Wentz now being out?
Other than the Saints, I might go with the Vikings. I know they lost yesterday, but I think they still have somewhat of a shot to have home field throughout the playoffs if they can close the season well. I think the Rams certainly benefit. The Eagles are one of their top threats in the East or in the NFC. And even though the Rams lost the Eagles yesterday, I think without Wentz they can certainly beat the Eagles, especially if the game is played in Los Angeles.
All right. Well, when we're talking about the Patriots making it to the Super Bowl, of course, let's not forget that they need to make it to the Super Bowl
Right.
and that they need to get through the AFC in order to do that, obviously. And while there's not as much competition, it doesn't seem, in the AFC as there is in the NFC. There are the Steelers, who are 11-2. They squeaked. Would that be the word? Squeaked.
Squeak by?
Squeaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. That just felt
Sounds
weird
good.
to me in past tense there. But they did squeak.
Yes.
Away with the win over the Ravens Sunday. They're now neck and neck with the Patriots for the 1 seed in the AFC, and I would imagine if they do make it to the AFC Championship, we'll want revenge for last year. So just a quick thing in terms of their offense, which I think is interesting. You go to NFL.com and look at the stats page. The leaders right now in passing yards: Ben Roethlisberger, leader in rushing yards; Le'Veon Bell in receiving yards; Antonio Brown, all Steelers.
The Killer Bees.
Side note on the passing yards, I think it is likely that Brady will probably get back into that 1 spot for passing yards, because you have to take into consideration the fact that they're playing tonight. So certainly check back, but just is interesting to look at that the fact that obviously the Steelers offense is a powerhouse.
It is. But Pittsburgh is probably the best offense in the league right now. Those 3 guys are healthy. Le'Veon Bell came into the season a little banged up. He didn't play a lot or at all in the preseason because contract dispute, but he's running at full speed right now. He's best dual threat running back in the league. Brown is unbelievable. Brent can throw anywhere and he'll go up and get it. The concern with me, I think, is their defense. It's given up a lot of points recently. They didn't look good against the Packers. They didn't look great at all against the Ravens. Losing Shazier, one of the best defensive players in the league, is a huge loss. Joe Hayden is out right now, but I believe he'll probably come back at some point in the playoffs, if not before. So that defense worries me, and not only do they want revenge for last year, but Brady's 3-0 against the Steelers, 2-0 in AFC title games against Big Ben. So, I think Big Ben might have some more rings if not for Tom Brady. So I think there's definitely a revenge factor there. So I can't wait for next week, or potentially it's a title game. But Miami's not an easy place to play either, so they got to take care of business first.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get to that, just one other spot I want to talk about is the Jaguars, who are now 9-4, first in the AFC South. They beat the Seahawks. I was surprised by that.
Very
what
impressive.
A game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that we saw that skirmish that broke out after the game, and I thought it was very interesting. Blake Bortles saying that people aren't used to getting beat like that by the Jaguars.
He's
and
right.
It's interesting to hear a guy like that come out and say that, but he certainly has a point.
Yeah, and then people have to take the Jaguars seriously now. Leonard Fournette, rookie running back, is fantastic. Bortles is not losing games. He's not doing a ton to win them, but he's being a pretty decent game manager. And their defense obviously is fantastic. I think if you look at the teams, the recipe to beat Tom Brady: pressure up the middle, good corners who can take away his receivers. The Jaguars have that. Jalen Ramsey is one of the best young corners in the league. They have a tremendous pass rush. Calais Campbell has been a sack master the entire year. I think they have what it takes to give the Patriots some fits, especially if Brady's having an off day and they're putting a lot of pressure on him. You never know what can happen.
Well, as for taking care of business tonight in Miami, let's look at this matchup. I mean, it's kind of strange, first of all, the way the schedule is shaking out, the fact that the Pats are facing a team they just faced a couple weeks ago. But a real difference in this one that Jay Cutler is back, will be playing. And you and I, before the lights went on in here, were kind of debating that whether or not that's really even an advantage for the Dolphins, especially his track record against the Pats.
Yeah, I don't think, I think Cutler might be a little worse than Matt Moore. It's certainly debatable. I don't think there's a huge difference between the two, but Cutler in his career, 0-3 against Patriots, 41-7 loss in 08, 36-7 loss in 2010, 51-23 in 2014. And Zach Cox, our Patriots beat writer, has the stats here: 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Just 182.3 passing yards per game for Cutler in those 3 games. Not great at all. So I think the what the Patriots are going to have to stop, in this game is the running attack. Kenyon Drake is a good running back for the Dolphins. If they can limit him and just force Cutler to beat them, I think they'll have a pretty good chance of winning this game.
Well, definitely top on my list of concerns for the Patriots tonight is just keeping Brady healthy and wondering if you think the offensive line can really step it up and keep him safe tonight, because as we're talking and doing this whole look ahead, look forward, look at all the quarterbacks and other players who have been injured, I think that top on the priority list in terms of making it into the playoffs and to the Super Bowl is keeping Brady upright and healthy, which will be a task tonight.
Right. I mean, without Garoppolo, Brady has to be healthy. I mean, Brian Hoyer is not going to lead you to the Super Bowl. And the Dolphins hit Brady 8 times last time these guys played. Ndamukong Suh, you can call him a dirty player, whatever you want, but he's an effective player at nose tackle. He can certainly get in the backfield. If they don't block him, Brady's going to, probably see his life flash before his eyes, maybe. So, you got to keep him upright. That goes without saying. And then, they've had some injuries on the offensive line. Looks like Waddle's going to be back in there tonight. He's active. They believe he's going to back up Cameron Fleming. So, if the offensive line can keep Brady upright, I think that's probably the number one key to this game.
And obviously having Rob Gronkowski out of the lineup makes a difference for this Patriots team, but I have to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised to see Chris Hogan is active tonight. Came back to practice this week, but has missed the past 4 games. I just feel like a lot of times you see a guy return and then will be active and limited in practice. I was surprised to see him active tonight, and just curious how much of a factor you think he'll be tonight and how much playing time he'll see.
I think he'll definitely get some rest. It'll probably depend on how he feels. At halftime they'll be like, how you feeling? Can we increase your workload or not? But the beauty of the Patriots is it's so tough to game plan against them, because one week it's Chris Hogan, the next week it's Dion Lewis, could be Jacob Hollister tonight, filling in for Gronk. So you never know where the Patriots are going to go. They have so many weapons, even without Edelman and Gronkowski. I think they do want to work Hogan back in the lineup. He's an important piece for them. He was great in the playoffs last year, as we know, especially against the Steelers. So as long as he can give it a go, I think they're going to. I would assume that they would try to get him some reps and get him up to speed. So when the playoffs come, he's ready to go and he's fully engaged.
So, although obviously, as we've already said, huge favorites in tonight's game, I don't see the Patriots losing in this one personally. But I'm curious how detrimental you think it will be to the overall playoff and Super Bowl push if they were to fall to Miami tonight.
Well, it definitely make next week's game a must-win. I mean, next week's game might be a must-win anyway, but you don't want Brady's 7-8 in his career against Miami. It's not inconceivable that they could lose this game. It's been a tough place for the Patriots really throughout their history, but I don't see the Patriots losing either. But if they did, it does make it easier for the Steelers to wrap up the number 1 seed. And even though the Patriots have not had too much trouble in the playoffs at Pittsburgh, you definitely won the game at home.
Yeah, similar to what happened in 2015. They go and of course there were some other fluke losses during that season, but that kind of sealed the deal that they lost down in Miami. They lose the 1 seed and then lose the title game out in Denver. So
yeah, they lost the last 2 games of the year, that at the Jets and at the Dolphins, and you got to win those games.
Yeah. So we will see what goes down tonight. Side note, the Dolphins are wearing their throwback jerseys, which are fresh.
Yes, just wear them every week.
Really great. They really do. I'm much more team throwbacks than I am team color rush. I'm all about
I actually like
nostalgia.
when they wear the orange, though. What's your take on their orange jersey? They don't bring them out very often.
They kind of look like creamsicles, which is a little weird. I would say
green's definitely better, though. What they're wearing tonight.
The what?
Throwbacks. The green's definitely better.
Yes, yeah. I do like orange. Again, creamsicle's not a bad thing, but yeah, the uniforms tonight are pretty phenomenal, and hopefully we'll see a good game. Zach Cox and Doug Kyde are in Miami, so make sure to follow along with them throughout the game for all your news, and we'll be right back at you at halftime with some analysis, so make sure to check back in, and thanks for watching. Enjoy the game.